Have you ever visited a medieval-themed restaurant? Imagine stepping into a world where the past comes alive, and you are transported to an era of knights, castles, and grand feasts. It's like stepping into a living fantasy, where every detail is meticulously crafted to immerse you in the medieval experience. You enter a castle, greeted by knights jousting and the roar of the crowd. The excitement is palpable, and you can almost feel the history in the air. Meals are hearty, often eaten with your hands, and the atmosphere is loud and festive. Long wooden tables are filled with guests enjoying the rustic fare. The experience is crafted to make you feel like a noble at a royal banquet, surrounded by opulence and grandeur. It's a break from modern life. No smartphones, just cheering and feasting. The simplicity of the past offers a refreshing escape. The food, roasted chicken, ribs, rustic bread, feels old-fashioned and substantial. Each bite takes you further into the medieval world. But how much of this is real history, and how much is show business? The line between authenticity and entertainment is often blurred. The truth is, what we eat at these shows is very different from what medieval lords and ladies actually enjoyed. The dishes have been adapted to suit modern palates. Modern tastes and ingredients have shaped the menu far more than history. The food we enjoy today is a blend of the old and the new. So, let's pull back the curtain and explore what medieval dining was really like. We'll delve into the past to uncover the true culinary traditions. We'll separate fact from fiction, uncovering what people truly ate and how they ate it. The reality is often more fascinating than the fantasy. Get ready for a culinary detective story that's even more fascinating than the show. Join us as we journey back in time to discover the true flavors of medieval dining. Let's start with the menu at your typical medieval-themed restaurant. You might expect to see a variety of dishes that seem authentically medieval, but many of these items are actually modern inventions or adaptations. Tomato soup? Pure fiction. Tomatoes are from South America and didn't reach Europe until after the Middle Ages. So, any dish featuring tomatoes would have been completely unknown to medieval Europeans. Potatoes and corn, also New World crops, unknown in medieval Europe. These staples of modern cuisine were introduced to Europe only after the voyages of Columbus. The Columbian Exchange, after 1492, brought these foods to Europe, changing diets forever. This exchange introduced a plethora of new ingredients that would eventually become integral to European cooking. Before that, European tables lacked tomatoes, potatoes, corn, and even familiar fruits and vegetables. The variety of produce was much more limited compared to what we have today. Medieval strawberries were tiny and tart, not the sweet berries we know. They were more like wild berries, far less cultivated, and much smaller in size. Carrots came in purple, white, or yellow. Orange ones are a Dutch invention from the 1600s. The vibrant orange carrots we are familiar with today were bred for their color and sweetness. Even the vegetables and fruits that did exist looked and tasted different. They were often smaller, less sweet, and more fibrous than the varieties we enjoy now. So, while a medieval feast had produce, it was nothing like today's supermarket bounty. The range and quality of fruits and vegetables were far more limited. Many modern favorites would have been impossible to make. Without key ingredients like tomatoes, potatoes, and corn, many dishes we take for granted simply couldn't exist. Imagine Italian food without tomato sauce or Irish meals without potatoes. These cuisines would be unrecognizable without their now essential ingredients. The medieval pantry was limited to what grew locally and seasonally. Preservation methods were rudimentary, so people relied heavily on what was available at different times of the year. The authentic menu is more fantasy than fact. Many dishes we consider medieval are actually modern recreations, influenced by ingredients and techniques that were unavailable at the time. Drinks at a medieval dinner show? Sodas are pure invention. In the Middle Ages, people drank water, milk, ale, and wine. Water was risky unless from a clean source, so ale and wine were safer. Medieval ale was flat, sour, and brewed with herbs, not hops. Wine was unpredictable, often rough, spiced, and sweetened with honey. Spiced wine, or hippocras, was a luxury for the wealthy, flavored with imported spices. These drinks were nothing like today's crisp beers or refined wines. Even children drank weak ale, or watered wine. So, while your dinner soda is modern, the idea of a sweet spiced drink isn't far off. Just imagine it alcoholic and much more rustic. The real medieval beverage menu was shaped by necessity, not taste. Every sip was a gamble with flavor and safety. So, what on the modern menu is actually medieval? Roasted chicken. Plausible. Chickens were common, but a whole bird was a luxury for most. Pork ribs, pork was everywhere, but the sweet tomato-based sauces are modern inventions. Medieval cooks used wine, vinegar, and spices for flavor, not sugar or tomatoes. Sausages, yes, but not the exact types we eat today. Recipes varied by region and era. Vegetarian options like hummus and pita, not medieval Europe, more likely bread, cheese, and vegetable stews. The real medieval feast was shaped by what was available and by religious rules. Most people ate simple foods. Elaborate dishes were for the wealthy. The menu at your dinner show is a blend of history and imagination. The fantasy is fun, but the reality was much more practical. No silverware at medieval dinners. That's mostly a myth. While it's true that you wouldn't find a full set of modern cutlery at the table, medieval diners were far from utensil-free. In fact, the way people ate was a reflection of their status and the customs of the time. People brought their own personal knives to meals, using them to cut meat and bread. Spoons, often carved from wood or horn, were used for soups, stews, and porridges. These utensils were essential for daily dining, and most people would never leave home without them. Grabbing food with greasy hands was considered rude, especially among the nobility. Cleanliness and manners were important, and the upper classes prided themselves on eating with care and decorum. Spoons were common, made of wood or horn for most, silver for the rich. A beautifully crafted spoon could even be a status symbol, and some were passed down as family heirlooms. The fork was rare, used mainly for serving or eating sticky foods, not as a regular utensil. It wouldn't become a staple at the table until centuries later, so most diners relied on their trusty knives and spoons. The no-fork rule is accurate, but the no-utensils idea is exaggerated. Medieval tables were set with the tools people needed, just not the ones we're used to today. Table manners mattered, and eating neatly was a sign of good breeding. Guests were expected to avoid making a mess, and to show respect for their hosts and fellow diners. Diners used a few fingers to pick up food, not their whole hands. Using just the thumb and 2 fingers was considered polite, and anything more was frowned upon. The real etiquette was a mix of practicality and politeness. People balanced the need to eat efficiently with the desire to appear refined and well-mannered. So, next time you eat with your hands at a themed dinner, remember, medieval diners had their own rules, and they took them seriously. Their customs were shaped by tradition, necessity, and a sense of social order. The truth is more refined than the show suggests. Medieval dining was a blend of practicality, etiquette, and a surprising amount of sophistication. Religion shaped medieval diets more than taste or availability. The church banned meat and animal products on many days, almost half the year. Fish became essential, preserved by salting or smoking for inland communities. Even the wealthy ate elaborate fish dishes on fast days. Salads, or salads, were common. Raw greens, herbs, and flowers dressed with oil and vinegar. Medieval cuisine wasn't just heavy meat, it included fresh, light dishes. Sugar was a luxury, used to sweeten both savory and sweet foods. The wealthy loved elaborate sugar sculptures and sweetened meat pies. The real medieval table was full of surprises, far more varied than the stereotype. Modern medieval dinners are more fantasy than history, but that's part of the fun. The real Middle Ages had no tomatoes, potatoes, or corn, and drinks were sour or spiced, not fizzy. Utensils were used, and table manners mattered. The true medieval feast was a mix of simple and elaborate, shaped by religion and local resources. Imagine tasting a spiced meat pie or sipping warm, honeyed wine. Knowing the real history adds depth to the experience. Our global pantry is a luxury no medieval king could imagine. So, next time you cheer for a night, raise your cup to the real past. Picture the bread, the spiced wine, and the simple spoon at the medieval table. The story of food is richer and stranger than any dinner show.